Hi, this is Shriram Nagarajan, welcoming you on behalf of HIMT to view this video, which is talking about proficiency in survival craft and rescue boat other than fast rescue boats. This is part of the blended learning that has come in post-COVID, where the classes for the theoretical part will be conducted online, and then you'll be coming up for practicals at a practical center. So based on that and the mode of certification by the administration, here are a few questions which have been compiled from what has been experienced by the students, from the e-learning and from our own question bank on the same. All right, so as we set across, this is what it is. What are we need to know about PSCRB? The first question in this talks about the life buoys. The question is number of life buoys in a passenger vessel more than 180 meter in length but less than 240 meters. If you look into SOLAS chapter 3 regulation 22, we can find the solution for this, and based on that we can eliminate option A, option C, option D. The final answer for us is option B, which says 24 number of lifebuoys are needed on a passenger vessel that is having a length between 180 and 240 meters. We move on to question number 2. A life raft, that is one of the survival craft that we have, should be capable of withstanding an exposure when afloat in all sea conditions. That is, what is the design criteria that comes in to ensure that your life raft is able to sustain all weather conditions when it is inflated and it is afloat? It can apply to any life raft. The options are 15 days, 10 days, 60 days, and 30 days. So from the LSA code, chapter 4, more specifically 4.1.1.1, the answer given there is 30 days. So based on that, option A, option B, option C are all wrong. The correct answer is option D. Moving on to the third question. In normal conditions in interior spaces, the minimum sound pressure levels for broadcasting the emergency announcements shall be options A 50 decibel, B 100 decibel, C 75 decibel, and D none of the above. In the LSA code 7.2.2.2 deals with this, where it gives us the criteria for both interior spaces and exterior spaces. So based on that, we eliminate option A, which is 50 decibel, option B 100 decibel, option D, which is none of the above. The right answer here is 75 decibel, and it also says in when the speech interference is there will be 20 decibel more than that speech interference when you are in interior spaces. Moving on to the next one, similar to the earlier question, but only thing here it is talking about exterior spaces. In normal conditions in exterior spaces, what is the minimum sound pressure level for broadcasting the emergency announcements? Option A 50 decibel, option B 100 decibel, option C 75 decibel, option D 80 decibel. So again, going back to the LSA code 7.2.2.2, based on that and eliminating the answers which are not appropriate, we can eliminate A, B, and C. The right answer is 80 decibel. With an additional criteria, when there is a speech interference, then it will be 15 decibel above such interference level. Question number 5, we move on. The full form of EPIRB, that is what this question is asking us. What is the EPIRB standing for? A, emergency position indicating radio beacon. B, emergency position indicating radar beacon. C, emergency position information radio beacon. And D, emergency people indication radio beacon. So as we all know, EPIRB is for identifying emergency position. So based on that, option B is not right. It is a radio beacon, not a radar beacon. So based on that, we can eliminate option B. We can also eliminate option C because it is an indicator, it is not information. Option D can be eliminated because it's for position, it is not for people indication, even though finally it does gives us the position of the casualties in the ship. So the final option here, which is the right one, is A. So EPUB stands for Emergency Position Indicating Radio Beacon. Moving on to the next question, again on the EPUB. EPUB works on which satellite? The options here: Inmarsat, option B Cospas-SARSat, and option C none of the above. Based on what the EPUB is capable of and what it uses for its communication, option A and option C are wrong. The right answer here is Cospas-SARSat. That is, yes, the EPUB uses Cospas-SARSat satellite for its working communication. Moving on to question number 7. LEOSAR stands for. So as all seafarers know, SAR stands for Search and Rescue. So basis on that, we can look at eliminating A because it is not talking about satellite, it is talking about low economy operational SAR. The option C is talking about light emitting satellites. Option D is talking about none of the above, that can also be eliminated. Yes, the right answer is option B. LEOSAR stands for Low Earth Orbiting Satellites that are used for SAR operations, search and rescue operations. Moving on to the next one, question number 8. We go back to the life buoys. So we saw with the passenger ships earlier. Now let us look at what is asked for a cargo ship. The number of life buoy on a cargo ship of length less than 100 meters. The options here: A8, B6, C4, and D10. The answer for this can be procured from SOLAS Chapter 3, Regulation 32. So based on that, option B is wrong. Option C is also wrong. Option D is also wrong. That leaves us with option A, which is 8. So the right answer for having the number of life buoys on a cargo ship less than 100 meters in length is 8. So which of the following requirements for immersion suit is correct? This is the question number 9. A, donned in 2 minutes. B, allow the wearer to jump from 4.5 meters height into the water. C, allow the wearer to climb down a vertical ladder of 5 meters. D, all of the above. So if you look at the LSA code 2.3.1, clearly tells us the criteria for the immersion suit. Based on that, option A could also be right. Option B could also be right. Option C could also be right. That is, all these three are criteria that an immersion suit has to meet. So since all these three options are right, we can take them out from our list and we can use the right or what we can say the appropriate solution, answer D, which is all of the above. One more on the immersion suit. The donning time for immersion suit is, again going back to the LSA code 2.3.1, it says the immersion suit should be unpacked and donned in a period within 2 minutes. So based on that, option B of 5 minutes is wrong. Option C, 3 minutes is wrong. Option D, 1 minute is wrong. So as per 2.3.1 of the LSA code, unpacked and donned within a period of 2 minutes. So that is what we go by. Option A, which is the right answer here for us. Moving on to the next question, question number 11. How should the painter of a life raft which is fitted with a hydrostatic release be secured to the ship? Secured via weak link to a secured point on the ship. Secured to a part of hydrostatic release that is designed to break free. That is option A and B for you. Secure, it should not be secured anywhere. That is option C. directly to a secure point on the ship. The idea of the painter and its securing is such that in case of need with the automatic release unit, it should be capable of releasing the life raft and not take it with the sinking ship. So as per LSA code 4.1.6.2, let us look at what could be the appropriate answer. There are quite a few things in the hydrostatic release unit, but the purpose of the hydrostatic release unit is slightly different. So option B is wrong. Option C is also wrong because we need to secure the painter. Option D is also wrong, directly to a secured point on the ship, because then the life raft would only float free when the painter breaks. So the right answer here is option A, secured via weak link to a secured point on the ship. Question number 12. Which one of the listed requirements regarding the buoyant smoke signal does not correspond to the present regulation? Emit smoke for at least 3 minutes when floating in calm water, that is option A. Continue to emit smoke when submerged in water for a period of 10 seconds inside 10 centimeter of water, option B. Then option C, not to be swamped in a seaway. And option D, give a bright red light during the entire emission time. So based on all this, and when you look at 3.3.2 of the LSA code, where the specifications for this buoyant smoke signal is provided, option A is needed. That is a criteria which the smoke signal has to meet. Option B, even though there is a slight change in the wording, because the LSA code specifies 100 mm of water. When you convert 100 mm to centimeter, yes, it is 10 centimeter of water. So that is also a requirement. Option C is also a requirement because the smoke signal will be floating in the water when activated and used by us. So it should not be swamped in a seaway. So the right answer here is option D. Why? Because the LSA code 3.3.2 says the smoke should be of a highly visible color. It does not specifically mention a bright red color. So that is where option D is one which does not correspond to the present regulation. Moving on to question number 13. Yes, something out of the ordinary for us. If a shark approaches you, option A, you should panic. Option B, swim away. Option C, aggressively paddle. Option D, should not go out alone. Yes, this question is not when you look at from a ship, it is when you have abandoned the ship. So based on that, if you panic, it is not going to help you. Swimming away or aggressively paddling is going to be causing the shark to look at you. That is, you're going to draw attention to the shark by your action. So the appropriate answer here, after we eliminate the wrong answers, that is option A is not correct, option B is also not correct, option C is also not correct. That leaves us with option D, where it says you should not be going out alone. You should always be in a group. Your chances of being protected when a shark approaches is more if you're there in a group rather than being alone. Moving on to the next one. Yeah, this is something, yes, distress is something none of us want. Let us see what this question holds good for us. Answering signals made by life-saving stations when signals are seen from a ship by night hour. That means a ship is transmitted a distress signal in the night time and it has been acknowledged by a station which is involved in this search and rescue. So option A here, parachute flare. Option B, hand flare. Option C, black ball. Option D, three white stars. Well, the question clearly mentions the time of the day, that is, it's night time rather. So based on that, the black ball cannot be seen, so it can be eliminated. The parachute flare and the hand flare are signals which are used by the ship. So the appropriate answer is option D here, which is 3 white stars. So that will be the answer made by the life saving station when it sees a signal from a ship in the night time. Question number 15. Which EPUB transmits a distress alert that is received and relayed by an Inmarsat satellite? Yeah, okay, quite a few types of EPUB that we can come across. So based on the criteria, option A, which is Class A EPUB, is not the right answer. Option B, Class B EPUB, is also not right. Option option D, even though it talks about Inmarsat satellite and gives you a slight hint, category I EPUBs, still option D is not right. That leaves us with option C, the L-band EPUBs. Yes, the L-band EPUBs are the one that will be using the Inmarsat satellite. Question number 16. Checking and servicing life rafts as per PMSS. A, once a year, B, twice a year, C, once in 5 years, and D, based on the condition of life raft. Right, so let us look at the regulations and requirements, but just by hindsight, we need a survival craft available to us at all given times. So based on condition of the life raft, may not be suitable because that means it is not a planned maintenance. It is only one that will happen when something goes wrong with the life raft. The more longer the duration, the more problematic it is because we need to probably look at it and wait for the duration, which is not right. So where can we find the solution for this? SOLAS Chapter 3, Regulation 20, and more specifically 8.1, that clearly states the period. It mentions it as 12 months. Based on that solution, B, C, and D, the three options can be eliminated, leaving us with the right answer, which is option A, once a year. Moving on to the next one, before lifting a lifeboat from water, it should be ensured that option A, bottom plug is secured tight. Option B, the fall wires are clear and secured tightly. Option C, engine is going astern. Option D, sea anchor is streamed. Well, the question clearly says lifting a lifeboat from water. So lifting it out from water, we can eliminate quite a few options here. Engine going astern, the bottom plug secured tight, and the sea anchor streamed. They all are things that are concerned with us when we are launching the lifeboat or the lifeboat is already in the water. So option A, option C, and option D, they can be eliminated. The ideal thing that we need to look up when we lift up a lifeboat from the water is how the falls are. Have we connected the block or the securing arrangements correctly? Especially when you talk about either type of the lifeboat. So if it is not connected correctly, then probably we could have kinking of the falls. So that is why option B, where it says fall wires are clear and secured tightly, become the right answer. Question number 18. How can the SARS audible tone monitor be used? Yes, options here for us. Informs the survivor that assistance may be nearby. It informs survivors when the battery charge condition has weakened. And it informs the survivor when the SARS switches to the standby mode. And it informs survivors that a nearby vessel is signaling on DSC. These are the four options that we have, A, B, C, and D. So knowing about the SAT and the way it functions, option B can be eliminated, option C can be eliminated, as well as option D. The right answer here is yes, that audible tone in the SAT will inform us that assistance may be nearby. It gets activated when triggered by the radar, what we more specifically know, the 9 gigahertz radar or the X-band radar that we call. Question number 19. An inflatable life raft is thrown in the water from a sinking vessel. What should occur after the painter trips the CO2 bottles to inflate the raft? The options here: the sea anchor should be deployed as soon as you are away from the vessel. The floor will automatically inflate. If upside down, the craft will right itself. The painter will detach from the raft. Well, going by the questionnaire and what is asked very specifically in that, let us look at what could be. The life raft is inflated, so we can eliminate option B. The life raft cannot upright on its own. We have to do it. So option C can be eliminated. The painter does not detach from the raft when it is thrown into the water from a sinking vessel. Thrown into the water, manual operation, it will not detach from the raft. We have to look at and cut the painter off. The right answer here for us is option A. The sea anchor should be deployed as soon as you are away from the vessel. This keeps us by controlling our drift more in the vicinity of our last position, so search and rescue could be more quicker for us. Question number 20. Which one of the routine test and inspection of LSA is not required by regulations? Option A, lifeboat engine to be run for at least 3 minutes every week. Option B, survival craft and rescue boats with launching appliances shall be visually inspected weekly. Option C, inspection of lifeboat equipment shall be carried out monthly. Option D, general emergency alarm should be tested daily. So the appropriate place for us to get solution for this is SOLAS chapter 3 and more specifically regulation 20. So based on that, and keeping the question in mind where it says not required by regulations, we can eliminate option A, option B, and option C because they're all needed by the regulations. Then what about option D? General emergency alarm to be tested. The thing is, as per SOLAS chapter 3 regulation 20, it says the frequency for this general emergency alarm to be tested is weekly, whereas here in the option it is mentioned daily. So this is the option which is not required by the regulation. That is, daily testing is not required. Question number 21. Seasickness is caused by rolling or rocking motions which affect fluids in the A. Stomach, B. Lower intestines, C. Inner ear, D. Bladder. Right, quite a lot of you would have experienced seasickness, maybe in bad weather or sometime or the other. And some of you, if not seasickness, maybe motion sickness when you're traveling from one place to another. The thing here is there is a balance mechanism which is between our ears. And this balance mechanism relates to what the body is experiencing in relation to what is viewed by the eyes. So, keeping that as a consideration, we can eliminate the options A, which is the stomach. We can eliminate option B, lower intestines. Option D, bladder. The right answer here for us is the inner ear. Moving on to the next one, question number 22. If the water is rising in the bilge of a survival craft, you should first, option A, abandon the survival craft. Option B, check for cracks in the hull. Option C, shift all personnel to the stern. Option D, check the bilge drain plug. Well, here it's more of application of a common sense to look at the first most action that we are going to do. Based on that, option A can be avoided or is not the right option. Option B, yeah, probably if it continues, we could look at it, but not immediately. Shifting the personnel to the stern may not really help, so that is also an option to be eliminated. The right answer here is check the bilge drain plug. That is the first thing that we should start looking around, whether it is appropriately plugged in or not. Moving on to the next question, question number 23. HRU is what is mentioned here. The function of the hydrostatic release unit is option A, substitute for the limit switch of gravity davits. Option B, to automatically unhook the lashing and release the life rafts when the ship sinks. Option C, for releasing life rafts in bad weather. Option D, for releasing lifeboat from sinking vessel. Well, the hydrostatic release unit is linked up to the life raft. But if you look into the options here, A talks about gravity davits and D talks about the sinking vessel. However, let us look at the options which could be the appropriate one for this. Option A, gravity davits, like we discussed, is not for the life raft. It is where it is linked to the lifeboat. So that option A is wrong. Option C, releasing the life rafts in bad weather. If that is the case, the life rafts may not be on board when you start experiencing bad weather and are taking all precautions to maneuver your vessel safely. In spite of that, if this is the case, option C cannot be the right one. Option D is again talking about lifeboat, so that is not the right answer. So that leaves us with option B. Yes, once the vessel is sinking 1.5 to 4 meters underwater, the water pressure acts on the hydrostatic release unit and it makes the HRU to cut the strong rope to which the lashing of the container or the life raft is provided. Right. Moving on to the next one, IMSAR. IMSAR provides guidelines for common aviation and maritime approach to organizing and providing dash services. Options being oil spill cleanup, B, search and rescue, C, salvage. So what does IMSAR stand for? It is basically International Aeronautical and Maritime Search and Rescue. So based on that, the moment we get to hear SAR or anything, search and rescue, we could jump ourselves to that appropriate answer. So option A, oil spill cleanup, is wrong. Option C, salvage, is wrong. The right appropriate answer here is search and rescue services. Question number 25. The liquid in the wet car compass is a mixture of A, distilled water and pure ethyl alcohol, B, distilled water and isopropyl alcohol, C, distilled water and methyl alcohol, D, none of the above. I hope most of you would have seen the compass that is provided in your survival craft. So this is what is being asked basis that compass. So option B, distilled water and isopropyl alcohol, is wrong. Option C, distilled water and methyl alcohol, is also wrong. Option D, none of the above, is also wrong. The right answer here is distilled water and pure ethyl alcohol. So how does this work? Well, the distilled water ensures that evaporation is reduced, while the pure ethyl alcohol ensures that the freezing temperature is much reduced, making this a viable solution to help a vessel which is transiting even in colder climates. Moving on to next one, question number 26. In a free fall lifeboat, instead of immersion suit, TPAs are provided to all persons. Well, the option here is true or false. So 4.4.8, where the equipment for the lifeboats are mentioned, it is for all types of lifeboats. And yes, basis that, the correct answer here is false. Why? Immersion suits are there but the question asked here is instead of immersion suits. So there is no such thing where it says instead of immersion suits, TPAs are provided. So the answer here is false. Moving on to question number 27. Pyrotechnics, a very important component for us. Hand flares burn with bright red color. Okay, so the option here for us is true or false. LSA code 3.2.2 gives us the criteria for this. Yes, the hand flares burn with bright red color. So the correct answer here for us is option A, true. Question number 28, continuing with the hand flares. The luminous intensity of hand flares should not be less than option A 15,000 candela, option B 20,000 candela, option C 25,000 candela, option D none of the above. Well, the options does not really matter as long as the luminous intensity for the hand flare is known. And if we have a doubt, at the LSA code 3.2.2 puts our doubt at rest. It gives us the right answer for this. So basis that LSA code 3.2.2, where the specifications or requirements for hand flares are provided, we can eliminate option B, we can eliminate option C, we can eliminate option D. So the right answer here is yes, 15,000 candela. That is what is the luminous intensity for the hand flare. Question number 29. The number 2 lifeboat on a vessel would be found. Option A, aft of number 1 lifeboat port side. Option B, aft of number 1 lifeboat on the starboard side. Option C, on the port side. Option D, on the starboard side. Well, there is nothing much to start troubling our mind on this. As we all know and have noticed, the numbering on the vessel follow a set pattern, and we will find all odd numbers on the starboard side and even numbers on the port side. So when it comes to the survival craft numbering. So basis that, we can eliminate option A because it is talking about number 1 being on the port side, which is not right. It is talking about putting the number 2 lifeboat on the starboard side, the option B, that is also not right because it is telling us aft of number 1 lifeboat on the starboard side. So 2 does not come in there. Option D can also be eliminated because you will find the odd numbers on the starboard side. So the right answer here is option C, on the port side. Yes, the number 2 lifeboat on a vessel would be found on the port side. Moving to the next one, a slight variant from what we have seen so far. The marine evacuation system shall be capable of transfer of persons from the ship within option A, 5 minutes in the case of passenger ship, option B, 10 minutes in the case of a passenger ship, option C, 20 minutes in the case of a passenger ship, and option D, which is 30 minutes in the case of a passenger ship. Well, yes, the marine evacuation systems more prominently found on the passenger ship today. So where do we get the solution for this? LSA code 6.2.2.1 gives us the specifications for this, and basis that, option A is wrong, option B is wrong, option C is wrong. Yes, the right answer is 30 minutes in the case of a passenger ship. And these MES are very good and they are capable of being deployed by a single person. So with this, we come to an end of our questionnaire that we have compiled so far. As the courses go on, we would compile more and more from what we get across from the various feedbacks and also from various sources. And please stay tuned further on this. For all those who have been doing courses with us, thanks a lot for that. And for those who are planning to do your courses, please note we are open and PSCRB courses are being conducted with social distancing and with all norms to ensure that people are separated, and the numbers for the practical are reduced to 1/3 at all given times, meeting up the requirements. So more on that for you with the courses. Please log in to www.hmtmarine.com and book your courses. And we are happy to welcome you. And yes, SOPs will be shared and SOPs need to be complied with. Right. With this, I, Shriram Nagarajan, sign off from this portal, and thank you for watching. And if you like it, please share it. Thank you.